Hello, and welcome to Nexstara's video series on the Salesforce Developer Workbooks. In this track, we'll be walking you through the Visualforce workbook. This video covers Chapter 4, Using Standard Controllers. Before we begin, I'd like to talk briefly about the term Model View Controller, or MVC. I like to think of it as Data Interface Logic. A model view controller software design structure means implementing the model, or data, the view, or interface, and the controller, or logic, independent from one another. In keeping these pieces fundamentally separated, changes can be made to any of them with minimal impact on the system as a whole. By using this design structure, Force.com provides an incredibly flexible platform. Visualforce acts as the view component of the MVC structure, and in this tutorial, we are going to demonstrate how to utilize some of the standard controllers available to you in the Force.com platform. Before we can jump into working with the built-in controllers, we need some data for the controllers to process. All data within Salesforce exists as database objects. First, we need to learn to identify the unique IDs of these objects to reference them to the controllers. The first thing we're going to do is navigate to the sales part of the site using this site-wide navigation. Let's go over to sales. And we're just going to pick some kind of data. I'm going to go ahead and click on accounts. And I'm just going to choose the Burlington Textiles Corp of America account. You should have these in your developer version of Salesforce. Now, when I click on this account, if you notice, the URL bar looks very distinct. This right here is the unique ID for this account. Now, this structure is true regardless of whatever kind of object you're looking at it, whether it be an account, or we can go ahead and pick a contact, pick this guy here. Same thing. These IDs are globally unique in the Salesforce.com database, and they're how we're going to select the data we would like to work with in today's lesson. So we're going to go ahead and create a new Visualforce page to show how this works. So create a new page the same way I did in the first tutorial. We're going to call this page Account Display. Go ahead and create the page. Now in our editor, first thing we're going to say is we are going to specify the standard controller to use with this page. So, and the standard controller I want to use for this example will be for an account. Now what this is doing is this saying for this Visualforce page, use the standard controller for the account object. I'm going to go ahead and add some very simple content to the page to illustrate what this means. And now this page should say hello. It's going to say hello to me by using the currently logged in user's first name. And then it's going to tell me that I am viewing an account by the account name. Now this object is accessible because we're using the account standard controller. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And at first glance, it's not really telling us anything, but that's because we've failed to reference a particular account. Now, in order to give it an account we'd like to reference, I'm going to go back over here, browse back to that first account we were looking at, and grab the ID. So I'm grabbing the ID of the Burlington Textiles Corporation. Now over on our new page, I'm going to specify the ID of that given account. Now it says, hello, you are viewing the Burlington Textiles Corp of America account. So you can see that this Visualforce page is now aware of objects in the database and is being automatically handled by the standard account controller. So this is a very simple illustration of how Visualforce can use built-in functions and the data available in force.com to make dynamic pages that show you different kinds of information. Now I understand this is not all that useful and pretty simple, but to give you an idea of the other fields and objects available, we're going to go ahead under Setup, Customize, Accounts, and Fields. Now under here, this will show you all the fields available to the account object. Now you can reference any one of these in your Visualforce page. So I'm going to go ahead and click the ticker symbol. And now I've got the field name. I'm going to go ahead back to our Visualforce page. And let's add a ticker symbol. And again, we're using the proper syntax to include dynamic information into our Visualforce page. And always make sure to close all your elements properly. So I've just gone ahead and added another line here and referenced the account ticker symbol. Go ahead and save that and see what that looks like. Now that we've saved it, we've got to go ahead and reference our account again. There we go. So now we can see that not only do we have the name of the account we're referencing, we also have the stock ticker symbol, which is BTXT. That's just an example of one of the other fields available to the account standard controller. So the last item we're going to cover in this tutorial is how to reference related objects, not just the object you're directly referencing. So in this case, we're still referencing the Burlington Textiles Corporation of America, but I'd like to make a reference to the owner of the account. Now the owner of the account is a user object within Salesforce, so we're talking about an actual Salesforce user. So we're going to say here's the owner of this account. We're going to say account.owner, which that's a completely different object. That's a related object, but we're no longer referencing an account. We're referencing a user. And then we can reference within that object, we can reference the name. Go ahead and close that. Close a paragraph field, and we're going to go ahead and save that. And there we go. So this is just a small demonstration of how objects are related in Salesforce. So we've got the account, the Burlington Textiles Corporation, identified by the ID number up here. Then it references the owner, which is myself, and then it pulls the name out of my user account object and displays it here on the page. So that covers our introduction to standard controllers in Visualforce. In our next video, we'll cover Chapter 5, using standard user interface components. Thank you for joining us. For more great content, click to follow us on Google+. Thank you.